Thanks. It's really tough to do a session after lunch and after this, heavy lunch, but we'll try to keep it more fiery and try and engage with you, on as we go along. So the session is called Winning in India, and we all know how diverse India is. I mean, don't need to really define the diversity in India, but at times this diversity is what works against when it comes to businesses and when it comes to unified, maintaining a unified, voice. I'll come to that later, but what I wanted to stress upon is how do businesses, maintain a unified language or unified voice with their customers when they are talking to somebody who is sitting in Kashmir vis-a-vis somebody who is sitting in Kanyakumari vis-a-vis somebody who is sitting in Northeast or. And that's what we are trying to, gauge in this session. Uh, and we have two experts from two diverse industries. E-commerce, we all know that e-commerce reaches out to, the all nook and corners of the country. While they are operating from the center, they're reaching out to all the people, across genres and across languages. And we have hospitality as a category here, and it's basically agnostic when it comes to the type or demographics of customers who are using it. So Dilpreet and Sandeep, let's understand from the industry point of view first, right? So I'll come to Dilpreet. Dilpreet, luxury hotels, right, and luxury hospitality, right? How do you maintain a unified voice when it comes to when you're catering to somebody from down south, vis-a-vis somebody from say north, in the same property, maybe which is located in the center of India?
Sure. Thanks, Satrajit. So when I'm talking about, so like again, I would say like the core theme of today's discussion is the CX, and that has been a kind of a talk of the town. So what I personally believe is like when we are talking about customer experience, so I believe the origin of customer experience is from the hospitality industry, specifically the hotels, because like it clearly operates on the funda of home away from home. Whenever you are out of your home to any of the hotels, whether for business or for leisure, the least which you want is that someone is there to kind of understand your requirements and understand your needs and preferences and then cater to you in a way in which you want to be treated. That is one. Now coming to your point that how it can be unified and how it can be standardized, because like again every person is driven by different incentives, so it's all about the value proposition which is there. So like again one thing is definitely you have to maintain the uniformity and the standardization. Now how that actually happens is, so like we work on something called a 4-box framework, which starts with KYG, which is the know your guest. When I'm talking on the know your guest, so as the name suggests, so it is on the line of the famous KYC which happens in all the financial institutions and the banks which are there. So what we do is that again, like we curate, we like kind of work on data collection in terms of the demographic data, the data which is pertaining to the interactions of the consumer with the brands, the data which is pertaining to the social interactions which are there, the transactional history which is there, the engagement behavior of the person which is there. So it is all about kind of knowing your guest well and understanding like what drives them well, and that can be done in multiple ways, starting from the data which is available, and then there will be certain imputed variables which you will be kind of decoding and correlating with multiple aspects of the data which you have collected, because it has to be kind of a multi-dimensional thing, otherwise the purpose of delivering the seamless experience is not fulfilled. That is there. Now second point is mine for insights. So one, you have kind of collected the data, so you have to kind of mine for the insights. And when I'm talking about the insights, so like again, like there is a difference between insight and the information which is there. So insights is something which is, I would say, non-obvious and actionable. So like it has to be in a era wherein like you are kind of working on these data points and you are able to kind of understand, okay, so like if scenario A is happening, or just to give you an example, if I'm saying, I know that people who are coming from Delhi and booking my hotels are having a lead time of 3 days as compared to people who are coming from Mumbai, they are having a lead time of 7 days. So now that is the kind of the information which is available with me. How that would be actionable is like tomorrow if I'm having a kind of a flash sale where the booking period is less than 2 days. So in that case, I know that firstly I have to kind of cater to the people who are coming from Delhi. Just a hypothetical example, but yeah, there would be multiple nuances attached to that thing, multiple data points which would be there, that would be there. Now, third important aspect to here would be building relevance. So like once you have collected the data, you know about your guest, you have kind of understand all the insights which are available from that data point which you have kind of analyzed. Now it is building relevance. Now how you will be able to kind of build the relevance by the kind of automating the complete end-to-end customer journey and the life cycle of the consumer, which would be there. Again, understanding all the touch points where the consumer is kind of interacting with you, starting from the inquiry to making the booking to the in-hotel or the in-stay experience which is expecting and he is getting, that is there. And then the post stay experience also, to understand how his experience was, and in case there is a kind of a feedback, both positive and negative, you have to kind of work on that thing. That would be there. Last point is monetizing the relationship, which actually kind of leads to curating the loyalty, or creating the loyalty, or creating the brand advocates out of that thing. So like once we are kind of working on this kind of framework, and this is kind of accessible with each and every hotel which is there. So now whenever any person is scheduled to come, so 2 days prior to that, they will be having the complete history of the guest. Okay, so like Mr. So person has stayed with us so many times, and what has his or her experience been? Was there any particular case where the experience was hampered, and what we can do to make sure that nothing of this sort happens, and we have to kind of surpass all his expectations. That would be there. So I think like this is something which is a kind of a norm which is happening in the luxury hospitality, because like again when I'm talking about the hospitality, it's all about the experiences. Fortunately or unfortunately, there is no service recovery in hospitality. Now, if you have gone for a vacation, and for any reason, if your experience is getting hampered, so no amount of discount or freebies would be able to kind of bring back that experience. So we have to make sure that whatever we are doing, it has to be right in first go.
Interesting. You know, the journey, like, you know, from data to insights to and then creating the charting out the journey. But I'll come to the data point later. Sandeep, in your case, right? You cater to the vast area of customers who are also very value conscious. In Dilpreet's case, creating experiences is what matters, and data fuels it, right? How do players in the e-commerce industry, right, cater to the value conscious Indian consumer across geographies, across across diverse experiences?
Interesting questions. Hi, everyone. First of all, so that you don't look at your mobile phones till the time I talk. Okay, so e-commerce, it's a baby. It's an infant against hotel industry. Hotel industry is like millennia back, there were still hotels. E-commerce is just 10, 15 years old, and we are still finding our footings. We make mistakes, we improve, and we keep getting better. One good thing is that we make mistakes faster and we keep learning from there. Now, let me just divide your question into two parts. A is that how do we keep a united one front, one face? And here I'll be talking more from an e-commerce industry, not only about Snapdeal. And then how do we go to a specific customer on a very, very personalized way as well, right? So it is, if I look at the app, the app is for me. And if you look at the app is for you. And how does that happen? Rightly said, there are 22 languages in India. There are actually more than 22, but official 22 languages. More than 100 dialects coming in. So makes the problem very difficult. Now, how do we keep a united front? So now, some parts of the look and feel of the website and the way of work will always stay the same. So some pillars, some foundations laid down, which will always remain the same. And then on top of that, we start building the personalization. And when I say personalization, what I mean is that if somebody is sitting in Calcutta, for him the Durga Puja is more auspicious as compared to rest of the festivals. So changing the way he's looking at his app will be different in those days as compared to rest of the folks in India. And that is what will create the change. Somebody sitting in Tamil Nadu will still see summer clothes right now, while each one of us, when we look at the site, we will look at those winter clothing right now. And that is the second differential that I'm talking about. And there is a huge digital divide India has. This was on the demographics, etc. But there's a huge digital divide. We have customers like people sitting in this room who do not want to talk to a customer service advisor, right? Like if you go to Uber, how many times you have actually called their helpline to book? You have never, right? Similarly, when you go to a Amazon or Flipkart or Snapdeal or Meesho or any other e-commerce website, you want to get the work done by few clicks, whether it is returning of the product, whether it is buying something, whether it is sharing your experience or anything. And those are the journeys which have been developed for my India 1 customer, right? People who are India 1, India 2, understand internet, have a Wi-Fi at home, are working with 2 mobile phones most of the time and have a surname Geo in most of the second case. Then I also have a customer who does not know how to even attach a file to send me a picture. They cannot email, and I am telling you this as a fact. I have listened to calls, I have spoken to the customers. Somebody calling from Badaयूं and he says, okay, you know what? I need to send picture to return it, but I don't even know how I do it. Now, making that journey easier for him, giving him a first voice contact, saying, you know, you have a problem, you don't have to go through the website. This is the phone number, just dial that phone number, get your problem sorted. And while your problem is getting sorted, this is the next thing that you have to do. We are unable to teach him how to attach and send an email, but we give him a feature for sending that same thing over a WhatsApp, because guess what? Everybody, even in tier 3 and tier 4, knows how to operate a WhatsApp. So using the features that they know well, people who are first time on internet, etc., that is where we start doing those personalization, even on a digital divide basis.
Interesting. So in both of your experiences, right? Data plays a major role. Now, so I want to really make an anecdote here, right? Do you also at times face the risk of stereotyping personas when creating personalization? I'll give a example right now. What happened? So Sandeep just made a reference to Calcutta. Generally, it comes when there is a Bengali on the panel. But the point is, I'm a Bengali from Assam, so I don't have any connection with Calcutta, right? So how do you personalize things from me if I'm your customer? And this goes to both of you, right? How do you know that I'm from Assam and because my surname is Bengali? Like Sandeep, you might also understand that he's from Calcutta, but I'm not. So
very interesting. I didn't call that example because I knew there is a Bengali on the dice. No, I didn't do that. And let me just answer that with a story, guys. This is real fact, and you can search for it. There is a place in US, Minneapolis, and there is a vendor named Walmart. Most of you might have heard the name. So there is one day a gentleman goes to the store manager and starts shouting at him. He says, "What happened?" Now, the customer complained that you sent me a flyer. Flyer is an ad that you have sent, which is promoting baby products and for a pregnant lady. And I don't have a pregnant lady in my house. I have a 16-year-old girl in my house. And that's incorrect marketing that you're doing. Store manager apologizes, says that he'll go back, he'll check, and come back with the corrective action. Now, 2 weeks later, this gentleman goes back to the store manager, says, "Mr. Store Manager, my apologies. Maybe I was not aware what's happening in my house." And his girl was actually pregnant. Now, how did Walmart got to know that the girl is pregnant is based on the buying behaviors, based on the products that she purchased, and based on that, they recommended that these are the deals which are going on and you can pick it. Now, coming back, okay, we are not as advanced, we don't do that. And I think somewhere it gets into privacy stuff as well. But the point that I was trying to make is that it is our own buying behavior, our search histories, which leads to the personalizations. Let's say you were looking for a mobile phone and you search for like 3-4 mobile phones, and now the price for one of the mobile phones has actually dropped, you will get a notification from that particular company saying, you know what, you were looking for it, it's dropped, and that's a kicker for you that with that FOMO, you might want to buy that product there and then. And that is the level of personalization that we're trying to go into. We as Snapdeal, we don't capture much data from the customer, but there are some companies with initials SG who even listen to your phone while you are not working on it. And let's say you were talking about something and then you will see an ad on top of it, right? It is because you have given them the permission to listen to you and then give you, that is the hyper level of personalization, right? Then they are encashing or monetization of that data to give the kind of ads which will make you buy that.
You have any perspective on that?
No, so like I completely echo with what Sandeep said. So like again, as a responsible brand, you have to kind of make sure like firstly, like there is a very thin line between the personalization and the privacy, which is there. So tomorrow, if I know like again coming from the hospitality, this thing, so like food and beverage is also one of the explored area which is there where we are having a lot of footfalls which are there. Now imagine I getting a communication from any of the hotel chain or the restaurant that so Dilpreet, we know your love about North Indian food and we have something special for you. So I'm fine with that. But on the contrary, if I get Dilpreet, we know your love for butter chicken with butter naan and mint chutney and all, so I will feel offended for that thing. So you have to make sure, like again, as a responsible brand, you know your limits in terms of what kind of personalization will work and to what extent you can go for doing that. And that is one. Second is like again, technology and automation plays a very important role because like today when everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, so what I believe is that AI drives AI, which is actual intelligence drive the artificial intelligence. So example which I'm giving now, the e-com industry has also kind of evolved a lot, but even if I go back maybe a kind of a 7 to 8 years back, so like something which happened with me, I was searching for the backpacks and I actually bought it from one of the e-com site, will not be naming that thing, from the one of the e-com site I bought that thing. Now consecutively for 8 or 9 months, I kept on getting the mails pertaining to those backpacks. Now someone needs to understand backpack is something you will not be buying that frequently. So now things have evolved definitely with the technology taking over and stuff like that. But yeah, I think like still a lot of things are going on, and like I think like a lot of brands are kind of pumping in the money unnecessary. So like today when you are looking at the digital ads, so a typical frequency has to be, I would say, let's say between 3 to 4. But there have been scenarios, I would say, like where one ad is being shown to you for 10 times, 20 times, and all that stuff, and no one is kind of tracking that thing.
You know, in the morning, we ran a quiz competition, right? And we have it, in the evening as well. There was a question which said, is data privacy a hindrance to CX, right? Something of that sort. Like it meant basically, how much data privacy is impacting, creating experiences. On the contrary, my question is like, how much do you really need to know about a person to create a better experience for him, right? Brands, as brands might argue that, we need to know as much, right? We need to know the best and go deep into knowing that person well to create that experience. But from a consumer point of view, right? If I'm interacting with an e-commerce platform, you might, need to know about my pocket size and my preferences, right? Not beyond that, right? And maybe, where I am living because you have to deliver it. But from the hospitality perspective, right? What are the things that you decide or you tick mark when you, tick mark in the tool when you set the preferences for, gaining the data?
So when it comes to the preferences, as I said, that like for each guest, we are maintaining a kind of a dossier, which would be having all these details. And like when I'm saying that we are maintaining the dossier, so it is with 100% consent of the guest. So like whenever the person is stepping into the hotel for either like for a stay or even for the dining, so like we are taking the explicit consent that, okay, so like we are taking this information for this purpose. So when I'm saying, okay, so like I'm taking your contact details because we might be sending you the marketing communication. If you wish to receive that thing, please give us our consent. That would be there. Second is like we will be taking your dietary preferences so that we are able to kind of customize your experience. And like again, like if in case you are having certain allergies, we are able to kind of cater to that thing. So like again, the consent plays a very important role. That is one. Second aspect to that is, I would say, the context. Like when you have kind of collected the data, so like in what context you are using that data, that plays a very vital role. That is there. The third important thing is the connect. So like again, if you're saying that you are having the contact details of the person in terms of the phone number also, email ID also, the physical address also, and then you are bombarding the customer with all these channels through multiple communication which you're sending to them. So that will not be there. So I think consent plays a very important role, and we make sure that this is something which is our utmost priority. And we definitely kind of work towards this ecosystem where the first preference is definitely being given to the consent, because like again we also work on a kind of a scalable personalization, but that is one of the, either you call it a hygiene or the prerequisite which is there. Whenever we are interacting with any of the consumer, whether potential or existing, we are only reaching out to the people for whom we have got the consent.
Interesting. So, again, an open and, industry kind of a question for both of you, right? You guys, I mean, both of you operate in a large scale across India. How do you see, and if there is at all some instance that you can share with our audiences, of differentiated customer experiences or customer expectations from you as, as brands, and as it goes to, creating experiences for them? How are they different? Like, is it really different that a person from, North India would expect a different experience when it comes to, hospitality vis-a-vis, e-commerce as well? In e-commerce, maybe a customer from tier 1 versus tier 3. How do they differ? Any instances if you can share?
So in terms of the experiences, I believe like the fundament and the core will remain the same. So like I had the loyalty for ITC Hotels. So like there, if I just have to give you an example, what we are doing is that, see, one is like when we're talking about the loyalty, so like there are a lot of nuances attached to that thing that, and people are having a lot of misconception in terms of loyalty program is equal to loyalty, which is actually not the case. So loyalty program is one of the means to the end, which is the loyalty, which is there. So now, and it's very interesting. So like again, what I've tried to done is that, and I was working on that thing. So I just tried to kind of have some correlation to the real life examples which would be there. So like again, a typical example here would be a kind of a, I would say a gym membership syndrome which would be there. So like again, people are very excited to join the gym. They will be kind of paying the annual fee just because they are getting some good deals on that thing. And then after maybe 1 month or 2 months, when the interest has declined, they will stop going to that. So same is happening with the loyalty programs also. Like out of excitement, people are kind of enrolling for that thing, but when they feel that either they are not getting the value or brand is not kind of constantly engaging with them, so they are kind of dropping out. That would be there. Now, coming to your second point in terms of the personalization or the preferences which are there. So like something which we can relate with is a kind of a, maybe a pizza principle. So like again, like today when you're talking about the pizzas and also, there are multiple toppings attached to that thing, and every person would be having a different taste and different liking. Some would be liking a chicken, I would say paneer, or maybe a kind of a vegetable pizza which is there. So same thing happens with the people who have kind of enrolled for your program also. Like again, and I believe like everyone is kind of driven by different incentives. So like again, as a responsible brand, you have to kind of work on this value proposition. So same example could be like again, the third part to there would be a kind of a, let's say something like a airline security theory which would be there. So like everyone likes to travel, but like the thing which they hate the most is the kind of time which they have to spend and the complete protocol which is there in terms of kind of getting scanned and going through that. So same thing is being kind of faced by the consumers also when it comes to the loyalty program. That like again, there are a lot of restrictions or there are a lot of caveats attached to that thing that they stop doing that, like engaging with the brand on top of that. So considering all these things, like again, like in terms of the preferences and also like again, a lot of things go behind from the data which we have collected, and also the imputed variables in terms of when people are interacting with the staff at the hotel when they are staying or they are dining. So like this kind of information is also getting captured. And then it's a kind of a multi-dimensional ecosystem where we are kind of segmenting people and just trying to understand, okay, so like what communication will work for which kind of segment. And this is something which is not fixed in nature. It is very agile, very dynamic. So like again, we work on something like a kind of a test, learn and evolve. So when in the test phase, like again, what we'll be doing is that we will be kind of reaching out to the people with multiple communication patterns which would be there, A/B testing would be there, and then again, not as a kind of a one-off case, but if we know that they are having some affinity towards a particular kind of offer, content, or even a kind of a layout which is there. So like again, that will be marked as a preferred mode to them. again, similarly, like when I'm talking about the learning part, so like learning part is being done by the technology, which would be there. And then evolving is like how well or how soon you are able to kind of evolve to kind of reach out to the person, like when something is not working for them. So this is something which we are doing, and it has been working.
In your case, Sandeep?
Before I answer that, let me just ask the audience, how many of us use Blinkit? Yeah, like everybody uses it. Great. Why I made you raise hand is so that you can leave your phone again and start looking at me. Okay. Now, there was another reason for it, actually. When Mr. Sen talked about personalization, I'm commuting, why do we e-commerce? The point is, when we started, or when the e-commerce started, it was to get a better pricing, right? Bazaar se better price mil raha hai, isliye order kar do. And then you are comparing two sites, wherever it is a better choice, order kar do. And that is where you are getting the benefit. Till the time it led into a convenience factor. मेरे को घर से नहीं जाना है, 3 दिन में product आ जाएगा. And that is why I started ordering. Now, we do Blinkit. We pay them extra money. We pay them convenience charge for that 10-minute delivery, right? You will do the same thing. You will go downstairs. You will pick up from the vendor. You will not have to pay the $10. We pay for the convenience. We are like on the top 1% of Indian population having most of the money, right? That's what you guys have. You have a lot of money, and that's why you spend it. Now, when we are looking at differentiating between a person who is in a tier 3 city versus person who is there in a metro or India 1, or we're talking about an NCR, we're talking about these high-flying societies of Gurgaon, they are willing to shed money for convenience. They want that 10 minutes delivery, and that is why they pay for that 10-minute delivery. I pay that. My wife pays twice. She's more. You get it, right? But in a tier 3 city, even right now, a customer is ready to wait for 3 days to get a better deal, right? And that's what is the selling factor for him. And that's the personalization for him. For him, it doesn't make a difference whether it'll take 3 days or 3.5 days or 4 days. But for a customer like us, it'll make a difference. We are ready to pay a premium. We are ready to pay that extra money to get that. And to balance these two is what entire e-commerce industry is trying to do, where there is more money. Now, money can be made in both the ways. Money can be made even in delivering in 3 days to that place because the delivery charges will be low. Money can be made by increasing the charges and delivering it right now. But remember one thing, at the end of the day, only customer pays. Nobody else pays, only customer pays.
Interesting. We're coming to the close of the session. The one point very quick round I wanted to do with both of you, and especially from a industry point of view again. So we are a changing economy, right? Consumerism in this country has gone through a lot of ups and downs. In the near future, right? And maybe we can take, when they say near future, in these days, 5 years looks like, ages. Anyways, in 3 years down the line, how do you see customer experiences evolving in your respective industries from an Indian context?
Okay. Customer will like not to be contacted in future. They will have their answers upfront. They will just ask an Alexa or a Google Meet, and the AI will be answering their. And this is what I'm envisioning in a year down, not even 5 years down. Drones will be flying and giving you those cartons at your house. In my society, they've already experimenting. So it's not far off. The SCMs will be much, much faster. Supply chain will be much faster. The delivery times will be even narrower. One good thing companies like Zomato and Blinkit of the world are doing is because there are some kind of jobs which will get eliminated with this coming AI, whether it is a basic question answering done over a phone. 6 lakh people working in BPOs today. I worry for them at times. But it's coming. There is no second thought about it. As the technology evolves, the pricing of the same elements will keep going down, and the likes of all the top CRM providers will have these efficiencies built in. So a customer will have answers. Either will not even have to look for answers. The answers will be inbuilt, or I'll be able to preempt his question and give him the answer through an AI, and the deliveries will be much faster. These are two things which are happening.
Interesting.
So I believe with the level of disposable income which India is kind of currently having, so premiumization is something which is it used to be kind of expectation, but now it is expected. So one thing which most of the brands need to do is that they definitely have to kind of differentiate both in terms of the sustainability also and premiumization also. Though they are catering to the masses, still there would be certain set of people who really want to kind of differentiate with others, like whether it's kind of taking on the ego or something like that. But yeah, brand need to have certain mechanism in terms of kind of reaching out to these people in a way where they want to be kind of treated in a certain manner. That would be one. Second is again, as Sandeep said, that today everyone might be having a kind of a money, but what they don't have is the time. So most of the brands, what they have to do, and that is something which has already started to happen, and that's going to increase in the near future, is again this trend of this convenience fee and everything would be kind of, I think I will not be surprised if the convenience fee would be more than the product cost, which would be there. But yeah, I think that is something which is bound to happen.
Yeah, and I'll just give a bonus, guys. $1 million idea. There will be a lot of social selling. So if anybody wants to invest in social selling or start social selling, it is going to be the future. Sale with a cause. You buy one product from me and I'll give a pair to charity. There will be time when we'll be paying hard for it. So, if you look at developed economies, they are moving towards it. Every company which has a social cause, their growth has been higher as compared to a similar company in the same domain. So if you invest and you gain a lot of it, remember that I gave you this idea, and I'll give you my account number as well to transfer.
Great. So see, we don't want not only implied knowledge here, we also give about business plans. So next year when we do the summit here, maybe Sandeep and Dilpreet, when we are talking on the same subject, Sandeep would be. I fear Sandeep would be able to preempt my questions using AI, right? And maybe the answers. Great panel, guys. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, audience. Thank you.